Thank you for tuning in to Andronetalks Radio, gathering as one in our sovereign truth from a galactic perspective, exploring our world with new ideas, knowledge, and a promise of a better future. Galactic discussions for galactic-minded people. Andronetalks.
Hello, everyone, and thank you for joining us today on Andronetalks News. So I have compiled quite a few articles for people to review, something to look at, but I felt like I really needed to bring up something that's been happening. As many of you know, I gather information. I'm getting information regarding what's going on around the planet, and one of the things that I saw last night, or actually it was this morning, I was seeing this scenario of multiple Noah's Arks, as if someone's been playing with our reality and then kind of trying to restart humanity over and over again. It's a combination of that, and for quite some time I have also been seeing these multiple, Adam and Eve scenarios. So, people say, well, I was Adam and Eve, or I was part of Adam and Eve, or I was Adam or Eve, or I was on Noah's Ark. And I don't discount it, because I don't doubt that some people were used for these scenarios, and that, they have a memory or recall of something similar to this. And I think it's because someone has been altering and messing with our reality, and then trying to reset everything. So it started off with me having this vision of these different Noah's Arks, and then I found this movie. And I watched the movie, and I thought, this is pretty amazing. I mean, they have these enormous robots. It sounds like kind of like one of those extreme Nazi agendas. But it's not 100% Nazi. It's just, maybe it's a German scientist. And he decided that the world was not a good place, and literally puts together a Noah's Ark on a spaceship instead of on a boat, and has all these different animals, as well as some of his experimental animals that he hybrids or whatever he created. And then he had these two capsules. One was for Adam and one was for Eve. And the scenario in the end was that he was going to reset humanity. Does that sound familiar? He's trying to reset humanity, and then infuse his DNA, whatever advanced DNA, Adam and Eve, who he felt should exist. And that was set in place. But I thought, I'm going to show you some of the scenes. You can see Angelina Jolie's in this. And this woman over here is, I mean, I guess I'm going to be a spoiler. She's like a cyborg or android. And, you see this point here where you see these huge robots in the sky. And they're walking through a city which looks like New York City. And, you can see it's very cyberpunk looking. And, the spacecrafts are moving around. They're quite unusual. And, of course, it has like this cyberpunk feel to it. So it's called Sky Captain in the World of Tomorrow. It was made in 2004, I guess. I don't know how I found the movie. It's just one of those weird things that I was searching for something, that I heard a name or something else, and it brings me right to the point of what I was looking for. Sky Captain in the World of Tomorrow. Here's a little bit of an overview of it. So in a technologically advanced 1939, the Zeppelin Hindenburg III moors itself atop the Empire State Building. here. There's New York City. It's highlighted here. And airship Jorge Vargas. I mean, he's not German, but I mean, you know, some of it goes on. It goes on further here. So, who arranges for a package containing 2 vials to be delivered to Dr. Walter Jennings, and then Vargas vanishes. And then there's Polly Perkins, who is played by Gwyneth Paltrow, and you know, it just kind of goes into this whole thing, and then it comes down here to this point where they have this guy by the name of Totenkopf, and that's the name that I was referring to. The Sky Captain is Joe Sullivan. I believe he is the one that is Jude Law, plays that role. But the one that created and designed the whole plan is this guy by the name of Totenkopf. And they end up in Nepal, they end up going to Shangri-La, they, you know, all of these things that are very, very, the mystical things of the formation of the earth and things that, you know, kind of talk about humanity's hidden and mystical secret of who we are. And so, you know, they're essentially going to the roots of it and then kind of changing things. Not to say that Shangri-La is, or Shambhala is the roots of all of humanity, but for some cultures it is. And so that's how the story is spun. And of course they have assassin robots and very, very advanced technology. So going over to the Totenkopf, that word actually means dead's head. Is the German word for the skull and crossbones. And, you know, Skull and Crossbones is also a club that is associated with the elite. So I think they're hinting to us, letting us know, you know, they let us know in plain sight some of the things that they're trying to do. And I know maybe some of you are saying, well, I thought this was, you know, you're going to talk about news. This isn't usually the place where you talk about these type of things, but I felt like it was very necessary to introduce this before I go into some of the articles. So, you know, of course, this is used in piracy and toxicity. This symbol is constantly used for those different reasons. It's a human skull with or without the mandible, and often includes 2 crossed long bones, femurs, most often depicted with the crossbones being behind some part of the skull. Okay, and they have this guy from August von Mackensen, and he is a field marshal, and he actually has a symbol on him. It looks like it's on his hat here. And here are some of the examples. The English term, he used it as the death squad, and so forth. So I thought that was, you know, an interesting way to bring it up. Here you see Frederick the Great with that symbol in Prussia, Brunswick. And they use it German Empire, Weimar Republic, and in Nazi Germany. And there's more information on it. I'm going to switch subjects now. So this goes into a little bit of some of the agenda. Now, we've had to endure quite a bit with Andrew Cuomo and some of the fantastical events that have occurred in New York City, which shifted the city from a very, very welcoming tourist location to a very hostile and extreme governed city. And so after I think they challenged him over some things regarding his decision regarding the pandemic, and then it turned out that well, they got him another way. I guess if they want someone out, they'll get him out, eventually. And some of these people, I think, are going to pay very, heavily for some of the things that they've done. You know, we know karmically and so forth, but I'm pretty sure we're not dealing with souls at this point. And, you know, so he resigned. He resigned. What brought him down, usually what brings people down is the Federal Reserve. You know, anyone that's fully in power, that's one way that they usually get taken out. But in this case, it was over sexual harassment, and that seems to be a bigger way to remove certain people. And so I guess this is the individual, and there's Brittany, and so that's, I think people are just pretty unhappy with them anyhow. But at the same time, this was going on. And this is New York City's first responders, U.S. Army trained for America's worst day. So they're planning for America's worst day. You can see the number here. It's 1366. And a joint training exercise between U.S. Army and New York's first responders in Randall's Island is preparing for Big Apple for America's worst day. And they're prepping for any scenario from a missile attack or a Yankee Stadium to a biological weapon attack in the city subway system. You remember that they were just hit with a flood, too. And everybody needs to get back to training, said Colonel Chris McKinney, Chief of Staff in the Army Task Force 46. And you see the happiness on the kids' face because they're getting to practice their craft. They're getting to learn from the best in the business. And so they're kind of planning for some kind of event. And you see that they're going through all these different exercises. And why are they planning for something like this? So I'm just going to step back here to take a look. I have, these are 15 creepy 9/11 predictions that are shockingly accurate. But there are also, you know, incidences that New York City is going to get destroyed. Here's the Matrix. And it's interesting because it's a passport. They make sure they show a passport, and we know there's a lot going on with that. And his name's Thomas Anderson. And the date is September 11, 2001. Super Mario Brothers. Escape from New York. That was in 1981. That was Super Mario Brothers was 1993. The Simpsons. This is kind of like a prophet, Baba Vanga. 2000, extremely goofy movie. Hotel Foxtrot. Rock brand Wilco. Back to the Future in 1985. Twin Pines Mall. Rugrats in Paris, the year 2000. The Lone Gunman, 2001. Godzilla, 1998. The Long Kiss Goodnight, 1996. Willie Gardner's Amateur Art. And there's Nostradamus. Who said, in the city of God, there will be a great thunder, two brothers torn apart by chaos. While the fortress endures, the great leader will succumb. The third big war will begin when the big city is burning. So it's almost like they're planning, this is part of the script. We've talked about the script. They had it set up. And we're trying to get away from their script. This is their scenario. It doesn't have to be ours. So let's move on from whatever it is that they had planned for us. But just to let you know, and knowledge is power, to be able to understand what is going on is going to help everyone to reset and to align with the highest potential for humanity. Okay, going on to the next article. This is from Opera News. Google Earth users discover 400-foot ice ship in Antarctica. Let me just open this article up. Oh, look at that. Oh. Over the years, we've seen all manner of weird and wonderful things caught on camera, immortalized on Google Maps, including a couple of blokes having a scrap or a woman's disembodied legs and so forth. And so we head to the Antarctic with eagle-eyed Google Earth. Users reckon they've spotted a gigantic ice ship lying on the iceberg just off the coast. So there it is. Mr. MBB333 said, just look down on it. It looks like the outline of a ship. It's about 400 feet long, 428 feet to be exact. Whatever it looks like a ship, an ice ship, whatever you want to call it, that's what it looks like. And that's what the YouTuber said. Why not? Why wouldn't there be ships? I'm sure there have been plenty of journeys there that did not work out. So we will have the article posted for people to review it. Here's the next article. Branson's Virgin Atlantic considers stock market listing. This is BBC News. Richard Branson sold a stake in his Virgin Galactic space business to help prop up the airline's finances. So the airline posted a $659 million loss for 2020 after passenger numbers dropped 80% and has announced thousands of job cuts. He may sell up to 500 million of his shares. Virgin Space flight tickets to start $450,000. So I guess that's where he's going. Allowing his other business to slip away, he's going in this direction. One American news network, Zuckerberg-funded group gives $12 million to Democrat consulting firms. It's not surprising. He actually looks. I personally thought he was working for them. So, but yeah, I guess someone has to foot the bill. So then he has to. He obeys, obviously. Pentagon believes AI can predict the world events. As ex-military intelligence analyst in Iraq and USSR, I'm more than skeptical. U.S. military is testing an AI-driven computerized precognition system. Sounds like the Minority Report. Designed to give decision-makers the ability to accurately predict crisis before it happens. I mean, we talked about this stuff as being just a part of the movies. This is futuristic. It can't happen. And here it is. Here it is. It sounds too good to be true. It's probably because it is. As in Tom Cruise fan, any Tom Cruise fans will tell you claims of precognitive ability do not have happy endings. And but that was fiction, no worse than fiction, Hollywood fiction, where screenwriters and directors conspire to manufacture viscerally pleasing narratives populated by picture-perfect characters who resolve some of the world's most pressing problems in around 2 hours flat. The Pentagon has been watching too many Hollywood films, it seems. Otherwise, how can one explain the attraction of something called the Global Information Dominance Experiments? The GIDE, a nod to the military proclivity for acronyms. According to the press reports, U.S. Northern Command has completed a series of tests of the GIDE system, or GUIDE, a combination of AI, artificial intelligence, cloud computing, and sensors that, according to the General Glenn Van Herk, the commander of both Northern Command and the North American Aerospace Defense Command, would allow U.S. military commanders to predict events day in advance. According to the article, the machine learning-based system observes changes in raw, real-time data that hint at possible trouble. In the example cited in the article, the GIDE system flagged by the satellite imagery depicted an adversarial submarine preparing to leave port, would flag the potential deployment, alerting all military units and commanders who have an interest in such a thing. The GIDE, the article brags, would be able to accomplish this in seconds. Military analysts, on the other hand, would take hours or even days to comb through this information. General Van Herk is a believer. With the assistance of the GIDE, he notes that the military no longer be reactive when it comes to responding to global crisis, but would rather be able to assume a more proactive posture, nipping potential problems in the bud with well-timed response. Civilian leadership will be better empowered as well and able to effectively employ the tools of diplomacy. My feeling is that, I'm just going to tell you, my feeling is that when they're disclosing information, this is information that they've had already for, I want to say 50 years, if not more. So they're kind of hinting that they know, and they're able to find the things that they need to do, or they understand what's going to already happen, or they're playing out some kind of snares. As I said, this information has been in the hands of many who don't always have the highest interest for humanity and don't always have a level head or are hijacked. And that's why we have to be aware of what's going on and also set our intention in that area. Here is an article called SOT, Signs of the Times, Science and Technology, August 14, 2021. Researchers discover microbes with properties that may be able to help fix DNA mutations. Well, with everything that we're talking about, spike proteins and all sorts of things that are attacking the DNA, this might be an article to look into, and I'm not sure that if they would actually help humanity after everyone wakes up and realizes that things are being altered without our permission. But this is why we see these dystopian scenarios, is because humanity just ceases to act like humanity because they've been altered in some way. August 14th, this is Electroverse documenting Earth changes during the next GSM and pole shift. Antarctic Blast delivers freezing lows, rare snow, and power outages across New Zealand. Central Wellington has experienced a rare snow flurry today, August 9th, as a powerful Antarctic blast pummels New Zealand. Very strange. Here's some pictures. Doesn't necessarily look like it's pummeling snow, but I'll take a look at this one. There it is. So we still have these really weird weather patterns that are occurring. So it's plenty of snow evident on our elevated parts of New Zealand in the wake of a polar air mass, which arrived during the weekend. Snow dumps up to a whopping 2 meters, it's 6.6 feet, have been reported. It's an awful lot. Oh, there we go. Okay, so he's measuring this bench. There it is. I'm going to move on to the next article. Here is Russian cosmonauts to set up a greenhouse on an international space station to experiment with growing various plants in zero gravity. They're very proactive in trying to get things moving out in space. And like I said, the scenarios, kind of like the movie that I mentioned earlier, Sky Captain, as well as, the first responders in New York City, and many of the trips that we've seen, some of these corporations that are taking into space. Here's another issue regarding censorship. Be honest, did you read Unheard's cookie policy just now before you clicked accept and close? Have you ever read one of those notices, or do you, like me, agree to anything and everything so long as you can get to the good stuff more quickly? The reason these annoying little pop-ups exist at all is thanks to recent-ish laws that helps you to understand what's being collected about you online. It's something that probably deserves a moment of your attention, but we're spending more and more time online. Who wants to waste it checking 20 tedious T's and C's a day? So it's just letting us know, are you curious about the digital object architecture? Do you want to know who's behind the Internet Corporation for assigned names and numbers? A colleague of mine once spent weeks tracking this stuff, only to conclude the Internet protocols are simply too impenetrable and boring to feel angry about. Nobody cares. Nobody except the autocrats of the world who are trying to wrestle control over various working groups and technical decisions to make sure they can tame the digital beast. It's an interesting article if you want to read it. And like you said, it's the little things. It's the little things that we're not considering because we're focused on the things that catch our eye, the bigger issues that we think. But this is how I believe it's the sneaky stuff, the little things that are happening each and every day that we're not seeing as a threat or intimidating at all. Here's an article I thought, oh, isn't this interesting? A terrifying new study says our conspiracy theory epidemic, they're calling it an epidemic, could be a result of human evolution. So they're saying, oh, yeah, the history of humans' deception has evolved with group conflicts. Animals will try to get an upper hand in conflict situations. So they're kind of saying, us seeking for the truth and trying to look for information, first of all, it's an insult to say that people are questioning the mainstream media, and by calling someone a conspiracy theorist, there are people that are out there that will take information, just fabricate something and hope that it goes viral to get attention. And it is, at this point right now, it can be difficult to filter through who's telling the truth, who's not telling the truth, and to kind of vet out facts of what's going on. But here they're tired of us questioning them, and so they created this article to further confirm to maybe friends and relatives that each, you, I, whatever, have some issues because we're questioning. And so here's one of those articles. I'm not going to read the whole thing. It's just, I'm not going to give them that much attention, but I just wanted you to know that, it's a constant effort to just bring in information without unnecessary critique. I'm not sure if this article is correct or not. This is Lad Bible it's called. This is August 9, 2021. A man claims to have found an underwater alien base after a creature was found on a beach. This probably alien bases a lot of different places, but so this is an interesting, it's an interesting article. They put it on TikTok. And he says that he witnessed an actual real-life alien being dealt with by government officials after it washed up on the beach. I mean, it's not that unusual that something like that could happen. It looks like, there it is right there. Saw an alien laying on the beach, surrounded by government officials. And there's some of the information on it. They said that Daniel's investigation was recently discussed on History's Channel, Ancient Aliens. And so there it is. Fellow author Mike Barra added, there have been sightings of flying saucers appearing in the wreckage, flying into and out of mountains and the volcanoes in the area. We've talked about a lot of this type of stuff happening for years. I think since 2015, I was talking about it on my show on Will Spirit Radio. But we've also talked about a lot of it with Peter, and he talks about these motherships starting up and creating volcanic activity and some other things going on. And I believe that they can actually, whether they're cloaked or slightly off dimension, we feel the impact of it. And so there's a lot of things are happening, and it could be very common. It could be common for 50 to 100 years before the mainstream media chooses to acknowledge it. So no sense in waiting for that to happen. Here's something else. The mysterious booms rattle Peabody leave residents asking questions. Peabody is north of Boston, and I lived somewhat close to the area at one time. But someone here from the Boston College Weston Observatory said the smaller undetected earthquakes are likely to blame for the loud, mysterious noises. But the explosion sounds, which started in February, have prompted both state and city officials to work together to try to determine the cause. We have all gas, and we don't want to see anything happen. And what happened on the Merrimack Valley a while ago. So they use gas heat or energy. And of course, all those pipes are underground. And so, yeah, there's something going on. And it sounds like it's happened before. So activity, something there, I wouldn't be surprised. Here's an article, and we usually talk a little bit about cryptocurrencies during the show. Could a collapse of cryptocurrencies force a reform of global monetary system? So the question is, a lot of people say, well, the cryptocurrencies are going to take over the entire monetary system, but if they collapse, does it bring in another reform of what's already in our global monetary system? So for thousands of years, that have been dominant international currencies until August 15, 1971, when President Nixon closed the gold window and revoked the right of foreign governments to redeem their dollar assets for gold. All the dominant currencies had either been gold or silver coins, or paper notes or accounts that were redeemable for gold or silver. Historically, these dominant currencies would come and go, and their demise typically being the result of wars and war finances. The United States dollar supplanted the British pound, which has been the world's dominant currency in the 19th century and the onset of the First World War. Even though gold has been thrown overboard by Nixon, there was still a global monetary system in place. And so on the Bretton Woods system, the system has been hammered out by a star-studded cast, including Maynard Keynes in Bretton Woods, New Hampshire. During the 3 short weeks in July of 1944, under the Bretton Woods regime, the values of the world's major currencies were fixed, or at least were not allowed to vary too much. Once gold was removed from the mix, and this is the big issue of not having a gold-backed standard, though the Bretton Woods system broke down and was abandoned in 1973, since then the world has been flying blind. Indeed, we have, in the words of Jacques Larosière, the former director of the International Monetary Fund, a global monetary non-system. So what happens? after the fateful events of 1971 and 1973, it was a bit like going over the Niagara Falls in a barrel. Above the falls, waters are calm. Below, waters are turbulent. The transition is brutal. Indeed, the transition from the system of fixed exchange rates that were linked, however loosely, with the gold to a non-system of floating exchange rates that were brutal. The value of the dollar plunged to 150th of an ounce of gold in 1980 from a 35th of an ounce to 1970, and the stock market tanked and the Dow plunged 40% from its high in January 1973 until December 1974. The dollar also tanked against the mighty Swiss franc, losing 65.5% of its value between January 1971 and October 1978. In short, the 1970s turned into an economic nightmare for the United States. Thanks to the decade of the 1970s, the word stagflation entered our lexicon after this tumultuous transition. However, sailing hasn't been that smooth. The frequency and severity of major international financial crises have picked up. Remember the Mexican tequila crisis of the mid-1990s, the Asian financial crisis, and the Russian ruble rout, among others. Banking crises have visited with more frequency and severity too. In America alone, who can forget the savings and loan crises of 1980s or the Lehman Brothers fiasco of 2008? Things haven't been great for American consumers and savers either. A dollar from 1971 and after 5 decades of inflation would be worth 15 cents today. It's time to replace our non-system with the new Bretton Woods. The Bretton Woods was the result of the perfect storm. And for those that are, yeah, you can see it. It's BRETTON. In some big problems, a set of ideas attracted a consensus, a group of prepared and capable participants, and a leader, namely the United States, that was prepared to lead. Today, I don't see such a perfect storm on the horizon. Then again, the collapse of a rapidly expanding cryptocurrency system might just be enough to signal the coming of such a storm. I thought that was an interesting overview and something to think about, because we have gone through many different transitions, and wasn't thinking about Nixon being the one that started to set the stage for all of what's going on with our finances. Okay, so here is aliens to arrive. This is something that came in from a person who claims to be a time traveler. Aliens to arrive on Earth tomorrow to start a war, says time traveler from 2714. And I'm going to just open this up. This came also from the Lad Bible. Self-proclaimed time traveler on TikTok believes that aliens will land on Earth tomorrow in an intergalactic war. Watch them explain their theory in the video below. And it looks like the video had an error. I'm not sure if that was just my computer or them, but the time traveler has over 3.9 million likes. And people seem to feel that he's authentic. Yes, I'm a real time traveler. Sometimes amazing things happens. In August 11, 2021. Okay, so August 11 has come and gone. There will be a large meteor shower that lasts 2 weeks. It will be seen in the northern hemisphere, containing the Nozick message. One of the meteors will seem different from the others because it is a ship landing on Earth. There will be 2 very large meteor showers that last for 2 weeks. It will be seen in the northern hemisphere. And so, you know, I don't really know. I mean, some of the stuff is kind of generic. They said that NASA finds a mirrored Earth, opposite gravity, physics, and motion. just interrupting here to say I'm pretty sure that that one didn't happen. So here's a few more that you can keep your eye out for instead. Category 6 hurricane hit South Carolina, the worst in history. And then on 10/20/21, 8 humans received superpowers from extreme energy of the sun. These are some of the things I guess they said. Atlantis is found in the Atlantic Ocean, housing human fish life. I guess we'll have to wait and see on that one. And 3 teenagers find a T-Rex egg and device to open the portal to an alternate reality. I'm trying to see if there was another. But anyhow, that's, I just like to bring these things up because we do talk about extraterrestrials and time travel. So I thought it might be an interesting article to include if people want to research it and see if there's any validity to it. It doesn't quite feel right to me, but they had so many likes. I thought it was worth mentioning. Here's another article. This is from Yahoo News. NASA can't find the Mars rock sample that Perseverance rover drilled, and it's mysteriously missing. So someone had stolen the Mars rock. Yeah, I thought that was interesting too. What would they do with the Mars rock? Here is another article called The Singularity Hub. Magnetized concrete in roads could charge electric cars while you drive. This is exactly what I've been talking about. I mean, I have been mentioning this for years, that I've actually seen this. I've asked why, the way that they are constantly, fixing the roads. And I know that they do that to keep people. Yeah, this is the wave of the future. This is where we're supposed to go. And this was a timeline that I remember. So it was nice to see this. I felt like, oh, okay, finally, this is something that I recognize is what was in the future that I saw. Because a lot of this other stuff was not recognizable. I knew it was altered. And so here's an interesting article on that and how it's. I can't see that it. I mean, the way that they're throwing around money on for reasons that don't make any sense. I mean, all of the money that they've spent in just blowing up spacecraft or rockets with Elon Musk is definitely something. They can redo the roads with that. Here's this. I'm not going to get deep into this, but this is Trudeau condemns Chinese court 11-year sentence in the Canadian espionage of Michael Spavor. And this seems to be a current event that's happening right now. I have a feeling that Michael Spavor has a lot going on, and I guess we'll find out. China's very interested in them. And here is, and also why Trudeau is protecting him. Here is a Chinese, because I don't think Trudeau protects anybody, which I thought was interesting. Chinese state media, again, push conspiracy theories blaming U.S. for a pandemic. So tables turned. Chinese want to blame the U.S. for this. Well, could be scientists and corporations and all those involved, and they come from probably both countries. So yes, but conspiracy theories. Here we go again. I'm not going to actually open up too much of that article. I'm going to let people read it if they want to get more into that content. This is from the Epic Times. It is European Union flags flutter outside the EU Commission headquarters in Brussels. This is May 5th. EU lowers limits for toxic metals in baby food. That's pretty shocking, I mean, I think that, you know, in my generation, the big thing was to put all the heavy metals in the cavities, and you know, when they work on your teeth, and different types of fillings that they would, I mean, they're clearly metallic. A lot of people got sick from them. I know I had a lot of illness as a kid, and they did find, you know, a lot of mercury in my system. I had some health tests done. So, you know, these things are going on. It's not shocking that they put it in the children's food. And we know that everything, all these metals that they feel insistent on putting into humans' bodies, it really makes you, I really want the truth to come out on that and why they feel it's necessary to put all these metals in us. And I know people have their, you know, they think it's a simple answer. I think it's more complex. I mean, I don't know if they just want to kill us or they just want to reuse us for something else or to become more compliable. Here's an article called The Watchers, and the article is about more than 46,000 customers without power as the severe thunderstorms hit Michigan, Wisconsin, and Illinois. And of course, there's some activity going on in Florida right now, and like a storm system, Freddie. So the storms are coming up. I think it was Jimmy that contacted me and said he didn't have any power. I had no idea, and there it is. Here is an article from CNN. A ship runs aground and splits in two in Japan. That seems a little weird to me too. Oh, how is it that the ship completely ran out of control, or was this planned so they would leak some oil? Now you can read that article if you want. We're going to have that posted as well. And then they blame us for contamination on the planet. It's overpopulation. It's not any of the things that they're doing, of course. Here's another video game, Frostpunk 2 is a more ambitious dystopian apocalypse simulator. And so you see more of these type of games coming up because people are interested in them. And they are becoming a very big distraction for a world that's not very pleasant. It hasn't been very pleasant for about a year now. And so it gives them a way to get the mass population to focus on some of the things that they want because they can't really enjoy the outside as they should, or it's starting to be a little bit more open, but then they want to do another lockdown so then they can redirect the mass consciousness and to agree, and they'll create something. They create these games to create the egregora that's involved, or which is a large groups of people all focused on something that is manifesting in our reality. Okay. Trying to get rid of this later. Get rid of that. Okay. Here's another, like I said, the Great Escape. Cygnus cargo ship arrives at International Space Station with its biggest NASA haul ever. Really preparing for the big one, aren't they? They really want to, just casually. Some people say, well, they're just casually putting together another civilization somewhere just to see if it works out, or are they trying to exit something that they know is in the plans? And I don't want to bring in any fear because I don't feel that we should be in fear. I mean, we are here. We've been here. We've been here multiple lifetimes. We're here to thrive, and I don't believe in having any type of fear regarding these scenarios. But I just feel enraged that they have the audacity to do terrible things to humanity and then just say, oh, we're leaving. We just feel like you know, you guys can figure it out. I know we damaged everything, but we're gonna take off now. Here is another article from CNN. Ghostly rings found around a black hole. Almost the article, I mean, the picture almost looks fake, but I don't know what they're looking through. And it seems to have like these weird lines through it. Oh, there it is. Okay. Ghostly set of X-ray rings were found around a black hole with a companion star. These rings are created by light echoes. The black holes are one of the universe's ultimate mysteries. Hard to even imagine, but thanks to recent released NASA image, we can visualize one a little bit better. So I guess they have this technology that they're able to see things a little deeper on what's going on around the black holes. The black hole exists in a binary system with a companion star. The black hole's gravity is pulling material away from the star and into a disk around itself. The black hole in star system is called V404 Cygni and is about 7,800 light years from the Earth. So I thought that was interesting and wanted to share it. It looks a little wild. Here's another article. This is from CNBC, August 12, 2021. Canada Prime Minister Trudeau is planning to call snap elections for September 20th. They'll do anything to remain in office, and like I said, I don't feel that these are humans. Oh, they didn't like it. Okay, there goes that article. We'll definitely bring it into, you can read it, but for some reason I'm having a little bit of problems here, and I don't know if it's something intruding with my computer. Here is the Epoch Times. Facebook logo is displayed on a mobile phone. This picture illustration was taken in 2019. Facebook to build 800 million data center in Arizona. So they're still growing and becoming more and more powerful. If anyone knows where to find them, they're there. And try to open up this article further. Oh, I don't think I can open it this time, but you know, the article will be there for people to review it. Here is Italy fights over 500 infernos across the country as wildfires. Death tolls rise to 4. Oh, look at the fires there. I don't know if we have Leonard Crum at work over there. I'll have to take a look, see what's going on. You know, if people say, well, you know, the Vatican's over there. Yeah, but Vatican is not in Calabria. Calabria is very, very close to the bottom, southern part, and it's quite a distance away. So it's just rolling mountains or hills, and it's probably, you know, their food source, because they don't really go. I've been there. They don't. Some of those people are self-sustaining. They grow their own vegetables and everything. So you know, this is some of their land. And they're talking about trying to protect their livestock and their olive groves. And, you know, they're not all about big business. You know, when you get down to that region, it's just the small guy, you know, trying to make a living. They live in simple homes. Okay, so here's another article. Dangerous lightning attack hits and kills 500 sheep in Georgia. And this is Georgia, by the USSR. To me, this looks like an experiment. Maybe they're trying to test some new equipment out or something. It just doesn't sound like a lightning strike would do that. So, yeah, it doesn't look very good. I don't know if there's anything more. Yep. Dead sheep were buried in a mass grave. Around 550 sheep were killed during a lightning strike on Mount Abul in Nitzminda region in southern Georgia on August 9th, 2021. And they were just belonged to some farmers, local farmers. Yeah, that made me very suspicious. It didn't feel right to me. In some ways, it feels symbolic, that the innocent are getting harmed. It feels like that all over the world. It just feels very vulnerable time in our history. Here is another article called Smart News keeps 3 volcanoes are erupting simultaneously in Alaska. So there's definitely some activity going on in Alaska right now as well, and we know that there is activity happening. Peter has mentioned it on multiple occasions. Here's New York Times, an article. The U.S. is sending 3,000 troops back to Afghanistan to begin evacuations. With the Taliban sweeping across the country, U.S. officials say Kabul could fall in 30 days. So the U.S. is pulling out. And everyone's upset that the U.S. has been policing everything. So I guess let them pull out, I think see what happens. Maybe it's right. Maybe many nations should just figure out their own battles and everyone should just stay away. I don't know. Share your thoughts on that one. I do know that some of the decisions that the leadership has taken is not what the average person would think or do, and they created this they're the bad guy, we're the good person scenario, and meanwhile they're sitting and communicating and friends with the very leaders that they claim are evil, and creating all of these scenarios. And so yeah, and I mean, I'd like to see an end of all of that. This is from the Washington Post. Google's new time crystals could be a breakthrough for long-awaited quantum computers. Time crystals sounds like a majestic objects from science fiction movies that unlock passageways to alternate universes. In the Marvel universe, the Time Stone gives wielders control over the past, present, and future. While that remains fantasy, scientists have successfully created microscale time crystals for years. Not for powering intergalactic spaceships, but for energizing ultra-powerful computers. Time crystals are like a rest stop on the road to building a quantum computer, said Norman Yao, a molecular physicist in the University of California in Berkeley. It's an area of interest for Google, which, along with physicists in Stanford and Princeton, universities claim to have developed a scalable approach to time crystal creation using the company's Sycamore quantum computer. In a paper published last month in the research sharing platform, arXiv.org, a team of over 100 scientists describe how they set up an array of 20 quantum particles or qubits to serve as a time crystal. During the experiments, they applied algorithms that spun the qubits around upward and downward, generating a controllable reaction that could be sustained for infinitely long times, according to the paper. Time crystals are scientific oddities made of atoms arranged in a repeating pattern in space. This design enables them to shift shape over time without losing energy or overheating. Since time crystals continuously evolve and don't seem to require much energy input, they may be useful for quantum computers, which rely on extremely fragile qubits that are prone to decay. Quantum computing is weighed down by hard-to-control qubits, which are error-prone and often die. Time crystals might introduce a better method for sustaining quantum computing, according to Yahoo published a blueprint for making time crystals in 2017. Time crystals are a weighted benchmark showing that your system has the requisite level of control. The scientists involved in Google's research say that they can't discuss their findings as they undergo peer review. However, the work tackles an area where physicists have long hoped for a breakthrough. The consequence is amazing. You evade the second laws of thermodynamics, Roderick Mosner, in a co-author of the Google paper, told Quantum magazine. The time crystal concept was first proposed in 2012 for Nobel Prize-winning physicist Frank Wilczek, who wondered whether atoms could be arranged in a time similar to their arrangement in ordinary crystals. So, like I said, they mentioned Marvel, and a lot of people have, kind of mocked at the idea that, oh yeah, they're just talking about video games. Yeah, it's just movies. They're fascinated with movies. They just talk about celebrities. And they're not really. And here's an article from Google pointing out a television show from Marvel Universe, The Time Stone. The information exists because scientists have been doing it already, and I'm going to continue pointing it out until people start to understand and take it serious. Here's a CNBC. Bill Gates pledges $1.5 billion for climate change projects if Congress passes an infrastructure bill. Already collaborating with Congress, the government, the far left, on the plan. Microsoft co-founder Bill Gates said his climate investment fund would pledge $1.5 billion. The Senate $1.2 trillion infrastructure bill hasn't yet passed. Hasn't yet passed for the bill, but here's the money. Provides the Department of Energy with $25 billion for climate-focused demonstration projects, and we'll probably find out that they have absolutely nothing to do with the climate, but more of their agenda. It sounds good. Look, they're talking about money over 3 years or initiatives to lower greenhouse gas emissions, like zero emissions. What a hero. Maybe keep the article there for people to review it. Keep an eye on what's going on and what this plan is. The new infrastructure of the regime under the guise of climate control. All right, so the computer in Firefox just died on me. So back at that article again with the 3 brothers that die after passing out from the fumes and of manure, of all things. It sounds like a joke. They're trapped in a livestock farm manure pit and then just passed out. I saw a comment in here. I saw a comment somewhere. Someone was sharing the articles, and they said, "I wonder if this is one of the farms that couldn't be bought out by the Gates Corporation. And, you know, no Monsanto, none of the other additional things that they want to add to the food source. So, yeah, I mean, it's just, it was interesting someone had made that comment. But, yeah, and this stuff can be toxic, but are you going to tell me that someone that's been doing this work all their lives, working on farms all their lives, and they don't know? They don't know how to handle this type of situation? I'm sure their children know how to do it. I mean, I lived out in farm country. These people definitely know how to handle things. And anyhow, here's an article from the Epic Times. Virgin Galactic falls as billionaire Branson sells stake worth $300 million. And I mentioned that earlier, how he's selling things. Sold a portion of his stake for nearly $300 million. He's needing money to go to that next level. But I don't know if I'm going to continue with this article. You can read more about it if you want to go back and take a look. Volatile California governor recalls his Democrats are nervous about the Feinstein seat. So this is CNN Politics. It was August 13th, 2021. It's the Democrats' doomsday scenario. California Governor Gavin Newsom loses his recall race this fall, and a Senate vacancy is later filled by a GOP governor. And the 50-50 state currently controlled by Democrats is run again by the Senate GOP leader, Mitch McConnell. It's a scenario the Democrats publicly say they're confident will never happen, but privately may acknowledge that it's entirely possible. Senator Dianne Feinstein, 88, is less than halfway through her 6th-year term. Newsom, meanwhile, is struggling to energize Democratic voters, while Republicans are rallying to vote him out of office between now and September 14, all of which have made the race surprisingly close. Few Democrats will speak out publicly about their concerns, given that Feinstein is not showing signs of stepping aside, and that they are still betting that Newsom pulls it off. But having witnessed Ruth Bader Ginsburg's death just weeks before the November 2020 election, given then President Donald Trump another Supreme Court appointee with the fears over the 82-year-old Stephen Breyer's seat in the court, a number of Democrats are worried the Senate could flip too. So why am I bringing this up? Because Newsom has been very, very active in bringing in the agenda in the United States, very active. And so, and there was a recall on his office. I mean, they wanted him to step down, similar to what happened with Cuomo, and you know, bringing quite a few votes in California, and he's still there. So we know that there's certain powers that are supporting the system that are above and beyond the people's choice. But I thought I'd just bring this in for people to review. As I said, all the articles would be posted. Here was something interesting. Here's a left-wing California college professor set many arson fires, authorities said. Agents had installed a tracker on his vehicle. Anderson wrote, where Maiden went, fire started, not just once, but over and over again. Here is a California college professor who literally is setting fire, and he's the one involved with this Dixie fire. God knows how many other fires he was involved in. I mean, they were talking about, oh, let's protect the environment. And here's this maniac that is teaching our children out there killing everything in nature. We're not just talking about trees. Talking about homes, we're talking about animal life, wildlife. And this is who's teaching our children? I don't know if they say what college he's part of, but I mean, what he's teaching, or anyhow. This article is from The Verge. Craig Federighi says that Apple's child safety scanner will have multiple levels of auditability, and apparently their plan to scan for child sexual abuse material will include multiple levels of auditability. In an interview with the Wall Street Journal, Federighi, Apple's senior vice president of software engineering, offered new details about its controversial child safety measures. That includes a claim that iPad and iPhone device level scanning will help security experts verify that Apple is using the system responsibly. I know that things have completely gone out of hand, and I'm not really sure. And, from a personal view, by observing this article, there's a part of me that wants to be really excited and happy that they're trying to protect children, but I don't know if that's at the expense of privacy, and that's the problem with a lot of this stuff. There's a compromise somewhere. So, but I thought I would just bring it in for if anyone has any information on something like this, they want to share it. Here's another from the news home. Google's Nest Hubs will soon show air quality metrics as wildfire seasons rage. People can observe what the air quality is like. I know some people have respiratory issues, so whether or not they should be going out, and maybe if they find some more of these professors that are starting fires, that wouldn't be an issue. Here's an article called from RT question more. Russian firefighter plane battling wild blazes in Turkey crashes after dropping water on flames, killing all crew and passengers. I mean, it could have been like an accident, possibly, or something else might have happened. I just thought this, for some reason, this article stood out to me. Maybe miscalculation, maybe, the sight of, who knows, something going on in their visibility, technical problems, or maybe not. And here is the last article. This is from the Epic Times. Snopes retracts dozens of articles after review finds co-founders plagiarized. I am not surprised. I always felt that Snopes was unethical. Like they just had zero integrity, and that they were getting paid to discount and to destroy anyone that is trying to veer away from what the mainstream news is trying to push on our ways of thinking, and not allowing anyone to question. And I think there is absolutely nothing wrong with questioning it, but then you get this big sign that says Snopes is saying that that's not true, and holding this high level of authority where they had no credibility. They had a questionable background of how they came in, and now you find out that this David Mickelson, who's often writing under a pseudonym, copied and pasted entire paragraphs from news articles, news websites. So I can't open this, but supposedly it's a fact-checking website, has retracted at least 54 articles after finding the co-founder and CEO plagiarizing everything. So there's an article if you want to review it and take a look at what's going on. And that is the news for today. Thank you everyone for listening, and thank you so much for all of those who are supportive. It's been a rough 2 weeks for me. I'm getting through it. I've been able to start connecting to people again. Please don't hesitate to contact me. If you had already connected for a session and have not had your session yet, I definitely don't want you to think that I'm ignoring that. I want you to contact me, and let's set up a time. For those of you that I do have on my website, let you know to not pay in advance if you don't feel comfortable. There's not a single person that I will not. I will neglect in doing a session with, of course, because I do feel that I want to connect with you. I want to meet each and every person, but certain circumstances make it a little difficult, and I'm just asking for a little understanding and patience, but also to continue to pursue me, and then sometimes spontaneously I have a window where I'm able to connect with you. But that's pretty much it for today. Thank you so much, and stay strong, stay bold, and do your homework. Don't let anyone tell you anything. Look it up for yourself. Review any of these articles. Have a good day, everyone.
You have been listening to Andronetalks Radio. Join us on YouTube channel Jessica Arael Morocco, and visit her website at www.readingsbyarael.com.